Welcome to the Game Informer Show. That's the same classic music you know. I'm your same classic host you've always grown to know and love. My name is Ben Reeves. This is the Game Informer Show. I'm joined by Alex Stadnick. How's it going?
Woo! Good. Excited for the new era, baby.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
We got Brian Shea.
Hey, congratulations on the new hosting gig.
Yeah, thanks. I'm a host at Applebee's now, I should say.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about it.
really awesome.
Yeah, I get paid part tips.
Not
And then
that change.
rounding out our foursome, we have Dan Tack streaming in from his cantina. How's it going, Dan?
Hey, how's it going? I'll take an order of the jalapeno poppers and a couple of the double entrees.
Ooh.
This isn't Applebee's.
Wait a second.
Oh, sorry. That's my night job.
Oh,
My other night job.
great to be
But
here.
yeah, what are we here for? We're here to talk about games. Our name's Game Informer. That's what we want to do. We want to inform you guys about games, talk about games, all the game information. You get it right here. So,
Boom.
You guys ready to do that?
I mean, I thought we were going to talk about
right.
Applebee's, but yeah, games sound good too.
Yeah. Born ready, baby.
Yeah. Follow my other podcast for that. But yeah, so obviously I'm the new host. Expect a few little minor changes in the coming weeks. We're going to try some things out. We're going to do some new stuff. Hopefully you guys are excited about it. We're excited to talk about games. That's why we're here. One of the first things I think we're going to change is the podcast length. It's just a little bit too short for us. We want a longer show.
Yeah.
We're going really big here, maybe 10 hours.
Have you ever sat and thought to yourself, man, I could go for a 15-hour podcast. You'll get it here.
Here we are.
I know people that are into that thing. Like their podcast can never be long enough, right? But that's not everybody. So Reeves, what do you got to tell us about the podcast length?
We do get people writing in saying like, "Hey, keep the long shows coming."
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try to make it a little bit shorter. And I think the reason for that is just be a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
Basically, we appreciate you. Thank you for writing in, but we're going to go a different way. We're going to try to be a little bit shorter, a little bit tighter. And I think just because, I think there's a minority out there, or probably a majority, who appreciate a shorter show. So we're going to give that a try. And I think you'll like it in the end.
Yes.
I'll just say that.
Yeah. And
wait, Alex,
what?
Did you hear that?
What?
That's the sound of thousands of people unsubscribing.
Oh, no.
No, wait. Hold on.
8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can listen to it twice. You can listen to it backwards.
It'll be great.
You can hear all the secret messages.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Yeah. And I think, not joking, like with the staff that we have right now, it frees us up to keep doing NGTs and getting that sweet writing content to you and make a good magazine. So I think all of this will turn out to be a very, very good thing. I'm excited for it.
That's right. I think the second thing we're going to try out is to do a little bit more segments, different talks, different things. So expect more on that later. The
Fresh
first
energy.
segment, fresh energy.
Yeah.
The first segment is something that we like to call GI playlist.
Ooh.
Nobody knows it's called that because I just made that up.
That's good.
You did just make it up.
Yeah.
What are we now?
I've been in like 6 meetings with you so far. That's never come up once. So I'm happy that you did it live.
Yeah.
I love
it's,
it.
Opportunity really just for us to talk about the games we're playing, and which is kind of just what we've always done anyway, and just formalizing it as the first half of the show. So with that, Brian Shea, what's on your playlist?
God, I didn't prepare.
I love it. We're just easing into this new segment.
So I've been trying to get through Last of Us Part 2, and I want to get done with it before Ghost of Tsushima, and like before I start that up, because I know that I will just get completely lost in that game. And Last of Us Part 2 seemed like it would be a shorter game, but I'm finding out that it's pretty damn long. It just keeps going and going and going. And like I told my friend where I was, and she was like, "Yeah, you're maybe about the halfway point." And I'm like, "Oh God." So I've been playing that, and like, don't let my reaction fool you. I actually really love it.
For sure.
I'm wondering if I'm actually going to get through it before Ghost of Tsushima.
Are you? I finished it last week, so here's a couple spoilers. No, I'm not.
Well, I already got spoiled this morning because somebody tweeted at us, said, "Hey, on your Deadly Premonition 2 review, there's a major spoiler. You should probably go delete that." So I was like, "Oh, I don't care about the plot of Deadly Premonition 2. I'm going to go." They neglected to say it was a Last of Us Part 2 spoiler in the comments.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
So that would have been helpful information to have that situation avoided. But
how do you feel about the controversy about that game? You bristle up against anything there, or you like it wholeheartedly?
So far, I'm liking it a lot. I think actually the combat is my least favorite part of the game. I think that like the gunplay is a little looser than I like. I think that it's super annoying when I know it's kind of more realistic, I guess, but it's super annoying when I'm like shooting at somebody and they hit me with their rifle and it like knocks me backwards, and I suddenly don't have like any idea of where to aim now. But that's a small complaint. Overall, I'm loving it. I find that like I'm more excited about the encounters when I can go just like casually loot everything than I am about the actual encounters at this point. But I really love the story so far. I'm hearing that it takes some turns, and I know it takes at least one more turn that I was not aware of. But yeah, I'm really liking it. It's a good game. It's probably number 2 on my game of the year list so far. We'll see how that rises or falls after I finish.
Is number 1 Iron Man VR?
No, but it's Persona 5 Royal, baby.
Oh, wow.
I said this on our stream earlier today with the now dearly departed Leo Vader. But
gone too soon.
Gone too soon, taken away in his prime.
Yeah.
He's a real Iron Man in my book.
It's a game that is, Persona 5 Royal. I think Persona 5 is my favorite JRPG of this generation.
Sure.
And Persona 5 Royal not only makes the best JRPG of this generation, in my opinion, better, but it also makes it so that there's 30 hours of additional content, which is about the size of like a normal game. So I'm counting that in my game of the year deliberations.
Sure. Yeah, and Brian, you might not have cut some of my subtle hints, but I was trying to transition into talking about Iron Man VR. Would you mind talking about that? You recently reviewed that. What do you think of that?
I did. I recently reviewed Iron Man VR. It started off and I was like, all right, this is a little tricky to navigate like the open areas, because most of the levels in Iron Man VR, like I thought that I would just be like flying along like set paths and blasting things like an on-rail shooter almost. The vast majority of the levels are actually big open areas, and you just can have like free flight control throughout the entire area and like fight enemies and go do objectives and stuff like that. And that's actually less fun than the on-rails stuff that I was thinking of. Because while flying is actually pretty good in that game, and like controlling Iron Man it feels pretty good for the most part, when you have to do like these precise things, like real sharp turns, or like flying in between like these like if there's like pillars, you have to like navigate around them while you're trying to blast enemies. It's really frustrating trying to like not just go screaming past where you're supposed to land, or where you're trying to like set yourself up to take on the enemy. And then like later on, like there's boss battles where like a character's like really well in control of their movement. And even as I thought like I'm getting pretty good at this, like I was never anywhere near as like proficient as like some of the enemies were in terms of like navigating in the open space.
Sure.
But overall, like, the combat's really fun. Like you really do feel like you're Iron Man at some points, like in terms of like you have access to all these gadgets. You have like your repulsors, and you can blast enemies that way. You can modify and tinker with your suit as much as you want. Like there's a ton of different unlockable upgrades and new weapons for your suit. So that's kind of fun. I really enjoyed the combat. I wish that there were more like on rail section. Like the first mission in Iron Man VR is you're on a plane and it gets attacked, and like you have to try to save it. So like you're flying all around the plane. You're like using the fire extinguisher attachment on his arm to like put out the fire, and then like you're flying alongside the plane, like trying to defend it, fighting off like drones that are attacking the airplane. And it's like, this is really cool. I hope like the rest of this game is like this. And there was maybe one more like on rails section in the entire game.
Gotcha.
So that was a little disappointing, but overall, I liked it. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. So
not the worst thing. I was actually kind of excited for this game. Like when they delayed Avengers, the game Avengers, I was like, oh, well, Iron Man's almost out, so maybe that'll scratch my itch. Does it scratch a little bit of that itch if you're really in the mood for a superhero game?
It does in one sense, and in the other sense, I'm like, oh, I really hope the Avengers game feels better to control Iron Man than this. And like, unfortunately, it didn't when I played it back in August, but from what I've seen and like talking to the developers, I talked to them a couple weeks ago for a huge preview that I put on GameInformer.com. They really took some of the criticism to heart. I don't know if it was just the criticism I gave them, or if it was like criticism they got when they let like the Gamescom attendees play it behind closed doors. But Iron Man and Thor really didn't control super well. So I was glad that in that, like, the most recent Avengers War Table, they showed off Thor gameplay, because I thought it looked much better.
Yeah.
But
and Thor should be the best Avenger to play as.
Thor and Iron Man, I think, because Iron Man has so many gadgets. That's exactly what worked in Iron Man VR, was you have access to all these gadgets and all these cool weapons. You could modify it however you want. Like, you actually felt like when you're standing, because you play as Tony Stark in between the missions, and it's just kind of like you teleport from spot to spot. Like, you can go, all right, I want to look at like intel on the drones. I want to look at like missions that are available on the world map, and then like right in the middle of your workshop is your Iron Man suit. You can customize it. And it kind of almost feels like, in the movies where he like brings up his floating hologram like dashboard. You can almost do stuff like that, and that felt really cool.
Oh, cool.
And that's Crystal Dynamics Avengers game. But jumping back to Iron Man VR real quick, who does the voice work for Iron Man? Do you know? Do they do a good job?
It was a little jarring, because it's a little bit of a different take, especially since I'm rewatching like the MCU movies right now. So it's a little bit different in that regard. He tries to like operate under the same cadence that Robert Downey Jr. kind of did, and a little bit more snarky, a little bit wittier than I think that we got in like some of like the earlier comics. He's always had like that arrogance about him, but I feel like Robert Downey Jr. just kind of took the snark and the quips to a new level. And I think he aired a little bit more on that side of things, but it sounds different, but I don't think it's a recognizable name in terms of like who the voice actor is.
All right, fair enough. So Iron Man 7.5.
Yeah.
Maybe worth it if you have a PSVR and you're really in the mood.
Yeah, exactly.
How much is it? Do we know?
I think $40.
Okay, so not full price.
I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
Gotcha.
But can you really put a price on a 7.5?
I will
just
find
numbers,
out.
man.
Yeah.
All right, Dan Tech.
A lot of math here involved. Well, yeah, what's up? What's
on your playlist? What have you been up to?
So I'm a little confused about the playlist. Is this stuff we're like talking about? Because I play a lot of junk, but we don't.
How are you guys confused about this thing?
What are you listening to? What music are you listening to on the Game Informer show? Yeah,
right. Because obviously there's some titles we want to talk about here on the show, but that does not nearly encompass my quote unquote playlist.
Sure. Okay? What's the one game you're really can you talk about the one game you're like super into right now?
Super into?
Is it like a super secret game that you shouldn't be talking about?
Is the playlist about what we're super into now, or is it what we're playing?
Again, Dan, how are you confused about this thing?
I am. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to talk it out with you right now. I'm having some issues with this. The question is simple. I just want to know what game you're playing.
What are you playing?
I'm playing a bunch of games.
Oh, for God's sakes!
Okay. All right.
Alex, what are you playing?
Yeah, I heard that you played Hyperscape, Dan.
I did. Oh, that's the new Ubisoft Battle Royale. Yes, I have played it. Guilty as charged, you could say. I've been known to dabble in the shooter genre.
It's a new Battle Royale from Ubisoft, correct?
It is. Currently, you can get in by watching other people play. It's got one of those, taking the sort of the Valorant, had a very successful model with that one. With the sort of, hey, you can play, but you got to go watch your favorite streamers get in that way,
Mm-hmm.
So you sit around all day waiting for your drop to come, and then you get in early to what is going to be a free-to-play experience.
Okay.
You think it's going to be good when it comes out? You think it can compete in this space? Feels like
I've played a few hours already, so that's all we're tempering any of this discussion with that knowledge. It's not final. Decisions are not final. Assessment is not, that this analysis is early.
Okay.
But I would say that they're focused on a streamer interaction. So you can, when you as the streamer actually are affected by your chat can make things happen in the game, like low gravity, heal packs, unlimited ammo, a bunch of different variety of things. Like they can be like, yeah, I want to screw Dan up today. Let's make it zero grav. I love it when he plays in zero grav because he can't shoot down a vertical axis at all. He's just going to get blown away. Let's put that on.
We're always saying that about you.
I know.
Yeah.
In addition, the functionality, they have the extension ready to go so that I could say, hey, subscribers, you want to get in the game with D? Guess what? Click a button. You're in. Boom. It's all this streamer functionality. Instead of them having to go on Discord or any of the other tools they have in the community, they can do it right there on the app. The streamer doesn't need to go friend them on anything. They just shoots them into their game via the app. Makes it real easy for the streamer to play with viewers. So you've got all this kind of stuff. So I think that focus is smart. However, I don't think it goes far enough in order to get it to the place where it's going to be able to take on the big boys.
Okay.
Nothing about the game felt bad, but here's the thing. Being okay and being just good isn't good enough when you got Warzone and Fortnite and these other
just told me
enormous things out there, right? Like you've got to stand the hell out.
Yeah.
It's not okay to just be okay in the game of service biz when you've got giants. And we've seen that with MOBAs, we've seen that with MMOs. We're going to see it with battle royales. Just being good doesn't cut it when there's just like you're like, well, I'm a pretty good game, guys. And it's like, well, you know what? That space is dominated. I mean, dominated by massive giants. So unless you've got to really come to play, right? Whether or not that's going to be the case right now, far too early to tell. Player bases.
I was thinking about that too. Like, the MOBA comparison is really interesting because, like, practically there's like 2 MOBAs out there, right? I know there's more.
There's like 3. I mean, Heroes is still out there. I know people don't think it is, but it's still people still play it, and it still gets content updates. It's just not a competitive. It's just an esport anymore, right?
There's like 2.5. We'll say.
Yeah, just if you want to say it's just, I wouldn't say that you're wrong if you just said, hey, it's League of Legends and Dota 2. All right, fine.
I mean, those are the ones everybody knows, and there's more out there, but like practically, like what you want to be is League of Legends or Dota.
Yeah,
and we already have more than 2 big battle royale games. I think. I don't know that there's a lot of room in the industry for many of these. So
there's room, but they have to differentiate. They have to differentiate significantly, and that involves a lot more risk, right? Because then it's just going to be like, can we maintain? It's not going to be, can we maintain a player base? It's like, are people even going to like this? You've got to really go way outside of the scope of what we know is the BR, and you have to like create your own subgenre within the subgenre in order to try to nip at the heels of the big dogs.
Big dogs.
Sure.
Is there to that point though? Do you see a path for Hyperscape? Is there like?
I mean, there's always that path with game of service. It's going to come down to listening to the player base, frequent content updates.
Yeah.
Leaning in this particular case, I think leaning all in on that streamer interaction. If you can get the big streamers playing your game, and you're not sponsoring, you're not paying them to do that, then that's going to be a huge element. So any kind of convenience factors, any kind of interaction, that kind of stuff, those bells and whistles are very important. Not just for this game. I think that's gaming moving forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've been
so
streaming.
So Dantac's final verdict of Hyperscape.
Yeah.
It's not
it's all
good
right.
enough to be...
It's all right to good, and I don't think that's good enough.
Yeah.
That's your final verdict. Absolute final verdict, never updating that.
That's my final verdict on several hours of gameplay in a technical alpha.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people should just take your final verdict. They shouldn't go try this game for themselves. Is that right?
Well, right now they'll have to get a drop. I think they said they're going to, at some point, it's obviously going to open up to a lot more people. And then why not try it? There's very little barrier to entry.
Yeah.
It will be free to play like other BRs. You can get in there and knock a few golf balls around and see if you like it.
Yeah.
I think that's something you can do. There are some really cool things in that game that I do enjoy. There's there's an armored ball that you can bounce around in. It's a bouncy ball. That's actually a fun thing that isn't in the other BRs. So that's
I always thought Apex Legends need to be more buoyant. That makes sense to me.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Apex, there's so many. Battle Royale is I called it a few years back. The Battle Royale is going to be the next MOBA, the next MMO, the next. Let's get in here, everybody. Some are going to come.
Who could have seen that coming?
Nobody. Not when I said it. Nobody. Honestly, okay.
Okay. When did you say it? When did you say it? Was it after Fortnite exploded?
I think it was when Diablo 2 was coming out, right?
It was when PUBG was king.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody called me on this like a couple years ago, and I'm like, I can point to the podcast episode where I said it was going to be a big deal, and it's out there, it's back there.
Okay.
So I think one
for all time.
Fortnite hit. I think it was the most obvious prediction anybody could.
I'm not saying that I had this big revelation when Fortnite.
Hey guys, you're both smart. You don't have to argue about this. You're both really intelligent.
Hey, but this is
smart,
playlist.
handsome.
We got to argue about it, all right?
That's right.
That's
what playlist is about. Arguing about
Yeah.
games. Yeah. Dan, a little birdie also told me. What's that?
What's up? Hey, great to be here.
Yeah, great. Glad to have you. What are you drinking right now?
A cotton candy bang.
Bang.
Is that a real thing? What?
Man.
All right.
Oh, it even matches his jacket. Look at that.
Wow. I didn't know you were so bored.
Did they get permission from Beats by Dre to use their logo?
Now, I absolutely hate this flavor, by the way. I think it's disgusting.
Why are you drinking it then?
Why are you
I wasn't planning to drink the whole can. I was going to drink during the podcast. So I'm just trying to get it out of the way.
Wait. Dan, do you have a sponsorship? that you're not telling us about? I was just going to plan on bringing you during the podcast.
Right here, buddy. Give us a call. We'll work it out. We'll make it happen.
He'll coordinate his jackets. It's great.
Perfect. All right, Dan. A little birdie told me that you had also played Mortal Shell. What's this game?
A little birdie.
Little birdie.
What kind of bird?
I'm right here.
Yeah, this is Alex.
We've just tried so hard to make this podcast shorter.
I'm engaging in the conversation. Okay, that's what I'm doing. If you don't,
I'd love to engage with you on Mortal Shell. What's
great.
Tell me
about Mortal Shell. Mortal Shell is a Souls-like game. Okay, that it makes no bones about what game it's trying to emulate, which is Dark Souls. Instead of being obviously just some foibles to make it so it isn't exactly Souls. The combat's a little more floaty. Don't love that. We got a small taste of it. You can play it right now on the Epic Game Store for free. There's a demo. It's a short demo. It'll probably take you 30 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how much exploration you want to do and how many times you wipe to the boss. The conceit of the game over Souls, instead of to vary it, as far as we know, there's no stat points you can put in, but you can change mortal shells. So you can go into the warrior shell or the rogue shell. Also, 2 more shells we didn't get to see in the beta. If you get killed, you get knocked out of your shell, but you have a chance to get back into your shell. So it's kind of like they've sort of taken the Sekiro double life kind of thing and added that into the mix. But it's very, very, very inspired by Souls games.
So it's like Earthworm Jim, where you're jumping into power suits. What do you play as?
I mean, I would never. That is the weirdest way to put it. But
I was going to say Altered Carbon.
I love it.
Let's roll with it. Yeah, you can go into different suits, but it's got all the soul stuff. So you're collecting tar instead of souls, and you're collecting different weapons and items as you move through, and fight tough enemies.
And feels good. You're a big Souls guy, so I feel like your opinion on these games is pretty tight. What makes a good one.
The demo is obviously a very small chunk. I would say Souls people. I would say people who are into Souls likes are extremely hungry for a new Souls like right now, because it's been a while and we don't know where Elden Ring is. So I think that when you have a drought like this, a game like this starts looking pretty good, even if it may not operate nearly as well as a Souls game. Sure. It doesn't control as well. Combat's kind of wonky. It's in that Lords of the Fallen tier. So it's like, hey, that'll do. This might not be the main course, but I'll snack on it while I wait for something to come along. All right.
He'll dance snack.
After a couple of pints of Bang, Mortal Shell starts to look pretty good.
That sounds almost like what a lot of people who are fans of Metroidvania were saying, where it's there's not been a Metroid or a Castlevania game for a while, so I guess this mediocre indie game that nobody's ever heard of will do.
No, I'm not exactly saying that. This is something that, based on the demo, I think Souls fans will have something that they can dig their teeth into for a little bit. They're not gonna step back away from it in a hushed tone and be like, the next. They've changed everything. They're gonna say, well, you know what? This was something nice to tide me over.
We call it a shell-like instead of a Souls-like.
My next playthrough of Dark Souls 3, this will be something good to do between, my next Bloodborne playthrough or something.
What do you think from software?
Yeah, exactly. What's going to be the next big innovation in that space? Are you gonna have Diablo-style loot? Has anybody done that yet? Is that a thing you could do in a Souls game?
Writing it down.
It is a thing you can do. I mean, they've been bandying about with that, but nobody's gone full in on morphing and making Souls like ARPG.
Souls like racing game. I think that'll be the next big thing.
Souls like racing game. Now, that would be cool. I'm in with that. I don't normally play racing games, but that would get me interested. I'd add that to the playlist.
Cool. All right. Well, that was Mortal Shell. You said the demo's free on Epic Game Store, is that right?
Yeah, for a couple more days, I think.
Okay.
Then after that,
check it out if you're interested.
So whenever they want to show more.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and I have a game I would like to talk about, but I want to bring in a special guest first. So, Brian, get out of here. Jeff Cork, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Got rid of Brian Shea. I wanted to bring you in because I'm super excited to talk about Paper Mario Origami King.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
I've been checking that out early. Yeah. These are preview impressions. I can't mention a review. Don't ask me any questions that are related to a review.
Okay.
But preview questions, those I can answer.
So I can't ask if you like it. But if I say, do you like it so far? Is that
in acceptable? A preview sense?
Okay.
I can say that I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just go with that.
Yeah.
But I'm bringing you in, Jeff Cork, because you recently did a feature in the magazine, and you're also a fan of Paper Mario.
It's true. I like Paper Mario. I think he's flat. and made it out of paper. That's the alpha and omega of my thoughts on the character of Paper Mario. No, that's not true. I have a question.
Seems like you really got him down. Like
I got him down. Do you think Paper Mario should be talking?
Oh, interesting. Well, even though, I mean, Mario doesn't talk.
Yeah, he does.
Other than
Tell that to Charles Martinet. Yeah,
it's a me. So, would you want him to do the same kind of thing, like all that stuff?
Maybe a low voice, maybe like a really deep, resonant
that's
baritone. Yeah, switch it up. He's made it out of paper. Yeah. I don't know. You think he should talk?
I don't know. I honestly, Cork, this is the first time I've even ever thought of that.
Okay.
Whether or not Paper Mario should talk. But now that I think about it, like maybe that is a little weird that he's silent, even though Mario isn't.
Yeah. He's always got like a character who does the heavy lifting for him, just kind of like speaking on his behalf. But I think it's time that Mario, he's a fixture of the game industry. He should have some agency. He should be able to like stand up for himself and be like, why am I paper? This is what's going on. Help.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird that Luigi does more talking than he does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. That seems weird to me. It's not like he's a part of a mute family. His family can talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, Super Mario Origami King is a new game for your Nintendo Switch. I've been playing it, and I reviewed the last game, Color Splash, and one of the things that bothered me a little bit with the last game was the collecting mechanic. Like, that's how you did the random battles, is you had to collect cards, and that's how you would play your hand, right? All of your moves were connected to the collectibles. Right. So they were a limited resource. And that was the thing in Sticker Star, which you had reviewed, I believe.
Yes.
So that mechanic I was kind of tired with. And so thankfully they got rid of that. Right. Instead, they have it's still turn-based battles, but the new thing is all the battles take place on this series of rings, and enemies are spread out around you in 3 dimensions. And they're all scattered around, and then you start the game by rearranging the tiles so you can line up enemies, set them up in a row, or group them together so that they're easier to attack, because most of Mario's attacks are AoE. Basically, you can do range like long jumps, or you can do big hammer smashes. So that's actually kind of neat. So far in a preview sense, I really like what they're doing. I think that shakes up the battles quite a bit, which is nice. And then obviously the other thing to come to for Paper Mario is just the fun world. Like, those games are always super well written, super humorous. Yeah. You mentioned other characters talking for Mario, and they have one of those.
Huh. So the general consensus, I would say, is that Paper Mario is like it leans toward like a humorous game. It's one of the. Have you ever laughed? Because I always like. Yeah, my default is always like, those games are super funny. They're really charming and everything. But then I'm thinking, like, have I ever laughed at a joke in a Paper Mario game?
Outside of more like a, or like a, like a full on like body
like
laugh.
A real,
yeah. I've done that a lot. I've done the I've done the
that does a couple times. Yeah, that does run with Koopa.
A chortle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very pun friendly, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Like, how often do you laugh like, even the funniest game you've ever played? I don't know if that's Portal or whatever it is. Like, how often do you laugh out loud in those games?
I guess is it a video game thing? That way, it might be a video game thing. I wonder if that's just the nature of being like a participant is like, I don't know.
Is that weird? I don't know why that'd be so weird. But like, because I would put Portal up there like next to some of the funniest movies I've ever seen. But I'm sure I laughed out loud more watching Anchorman or something, right?
Yeah.
Are you glad that you got rid of Shay for this segment on Paper Mario? It seems like it's really paying a big bit of rewards here for you. Sorry.
He's secretly behind you.
Yeah.
Turn around.
But you guys play the Paper Mario games? Dan Tack, you're still here. Alex, you guys play Paper Mario?
I have not played any Paper Mario that of any reasonable duration. But I might play this one, depending on what the final verdict is. I will need to hear more.
Yeah, no, I can't talk about that. Dan.
I know. But once you can, I may decide to make that purchase on my Nintendo Switch Entertainment System and then play through this majestic game.
We don't know. I don't know.
Dan, he said he can't talk about it.
I know.
Well, I've only actually played Super Paper Mario on the Wii, and I really enjoyed that. But that was a little bit more conventional Mario, I feel like, than more of the turn-based stuff, if I'm remembering correctly. As someone who's doing the video and NGT for Paper Mario, I echo the preview coverage that Ben has so delicately danced around. I think the ring system, you can yell at me if this is too reviewy, but I think the review system is a nice addition to the combat that I'm enjoying so far. And
Great.
I think it's going to keep me in
the
it.
game.
Yes, actually, I am. And I can't, don't pressure me for review impressions. I can't do it. I won't do it.
Yeah, it is an interesting choice. Excuse me. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it.
For all the headphone users out there.
The one thing we didn't mention too is just like the story. We mentioned how funny it was and just how we're laughing out loud constantly. Yucks a minute.
Yeah.
The story is just about this origami king. King Oli is his name. Is that a pun? I don't get it. King Oli.
The only connection I was like alliteration for origami. I don't know.
King Origami. I don't know.
No.
He comes to town. He takes all of the Paper Mario characters and he folds them up. They're called folded soldiers. So that's what you're fighting.
Yeah.
Instead of paper thin creatures, you're fighting origami figures, which is kind of, fun, clever little thing.
It's every child's
fantasy. I think we're going to run out. What's that?
It's every child's fantasy.
Yeah. Oh, what if these paper figures could fight?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember there were those pills that you would dissolve in water and out would pop like a sponge figure?
Yeah.
I used to, those were like, I can't stop thinking about them. But you mentioned a child's fantasy. Like I used to play with those like they were action figures when I was a kid.
Like the little silhouette of like a cowboy or a duck or whatever?
Yeah. Really? I had an astronaut. I had a T-Rex. I think I probably had a duck.
Oh, wow.
The perfect farm animal, the astronaut.
Huh. That's what they say.
You had to make your own fun back then.
That's right. So this is right up my alley. Finally, origami figures I can play with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so far I'm digging it. So stay tuned for review impressions. Hopefully we'll be able to share those next week.
It's out shortly.
It's another big game. What's that?
It's out in a little while, right? When is it
out? It's out on the 17th.
So next Friday.
Pretty soon.
Yeah.
Same day as Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Ooh, gonna be a hot weekend.
It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. For gamers on the go and then gamers sitting down.
That's right.
No one in between. That's it.
Nope, that's it.
Speaking of good times, Jeff Cork.
Yes, sir.
Are you playing anything recently? What have you been up to?
I've been playing a lot, and I didn't think I'd do this. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, like online multiplayer, having a good time.
Really?
Ground War and Battle Royale and all that stuff. Yeah. Been playing that with my oldest boy.
Nice.
Because
are you into Warzone?
Yeah. I like it. It's a game that is endlessly frustrating because I feel like I need to jump over one more skill hump and then it'll just be really great. I feel like I'm adequate. Like I'm probably like the middle of the results at the end of a match, you know what I mean? It never stick out one way or the other. And I'm good at getting to like the top 20 in a battle royale, but that's mostly because I've crouched in a corner for a long time. So yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah, it's a giant hide and seek game for me. Like that's as soon as like guns come out, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's why I don't play battle royales.
I feel like when I'm playing that, I'm a giant back that's just waiting to be shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I have some yeah. I have some strats we could go over after this.
I would love to play with you.
That would be fun, actually.
Just to sit down, just do some duos, and you could show me.
Yeah. I just have one,
know.
and it always gets me to like top 5, and then I can't win. But that sounds like it's better than being a big back, so we can discuss.
Is this the best Call of Duty? Is that why you keep coming back to it? What draws you back to this one?
Cork or
You're not going to beat me?
Well, Cork, or you, Alex.
I think honestly it was because my kid was playing it and I was watching him and like he's really good at it, so it seems like it's more fun when he's playing than when I play. And then I'm thinking if I can get to that level because it's really just a dumb kid. Then he got nothing else going on, so he just sits there and plays all day. So I got other stuff I got to do.
Yeah, be on this podcast.
Yeah, he's got those wonderful 13-year-old reflexes too, which you just lose it over time.
I'm starting to experience that, and it makes me sad. Overall, I think the last game I was truly like, I mean, it's Xbox, but Overwatch, it was like and platinum, I think. And I was like feeling good about myself, and then from there it's just been downhill.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I also find like the infected mode is like a really good low impact form of multiplayer, because like even if you get killed almost immediately, like it's like a typical zombies mode if you haven't played that for some inexplicable reason. You always win. Because
I feel like I must have never been 13 in my life, because I was never like good at like reflex games. I'm always bad.
Yeah.
Shenmue came out last year, and that had those QuickTime events. And I, without fail, every time a QuickTime event would pop up, I would whiff it so hard and just have to like memorize the sequence without fail. With
fail.
Several fails.
Yeah, don't
I
sell yourself
would
short.
it super hard. Yeah. And I played it for a feature that we did in the magazine in front of the creator. So he watched me fail at his game repeatedly and just have to memorize the sequence. Ben Hansen was laughing at me the whole time.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But so yeah, I'm not good. Maybe that's why I don't gravitate towards those kind of games.
Yeah, for sure.
Alex, what about you? What are you been up to?
So I've been I was out last week, and I was at my girlfriend's parents' place, and all I had access to was my Switch, and we had a lot of downtime. So I finally beat the Isle of Armor DLC for Pokemon. I went back and I had played it for coverage early last year or late last year on Pokemon Shield, and then I was like, I want to take my time through this. So I bought Sword, and then I've been replaying that, and I really liked they made small improvements that I really liked and thought we were going to get more of in the base game. I liked that Isle of Armor was just the wild area, basically. And that's kind of what I was hoping for the original game, even though I still enjoyed it. And it was cool to see the Gen 1 starters that they brought in. So finished that up, and then I needed something to disconnect with, the world. I wanted something goofy, and I actually picked up What the Golf, which came out on PC in October of last year, but it came to Switch in May. And I had heard like good things, and it's such a goofy like relaxation and like game for me. But then also I'm like, because you play holes and progress through the levels, and they say it's the golf game for people who don't like golf, even though I do like golf. It's just there's such a silliness, or as my fellow intern Nick used to say, a whimsy to it. He was a big fan of the whimsy. Shout out to Nick. But and so like I was liking it for that, but then you can start to replay levels where they give you different challenges in it, and some are just ridiculous, some are like, you have to hit par and whatnot, and I've been really, really enjoying it. It's been a good like just kind of decompression game, even now that I'm back here, and it's just silly, and I think everyone needs a little bit more silliness right now.
So. I think I realized that I'm not excited about golf games, but I did like What the Golf because it's like it fools you. You think it's a golf game, but then you play it and you're like, no, this is just like a series of weird interactions.
Yeah.
Because there's like side scrolling levels, there's like levels that involve portals, there's levels where you're basically driving a car. It's not really a golf game. It's
and it does a good job of luring you into like, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit the guy this time, and then like the mountain will move or something like that. It's surprising. And to your earlier point about making you laugh in games, there have been a couple moments where I did the ha, and then kept moving on. So, but I think I'm easier entertained than you guys are.
Alex,
so
you're playing this Pokemon game at your girlfriend's parents. Is it at their house or traveling to their house? You played it while you were there.
Yeah, when we would just be like
in front of them.
Yeah, I'd be like,
what
hey,
a nightmare! Can you imagine your beautiful daughter who you've raised, and then she brings her boyfriend, and he's sitting in the corner like a creep playing a Pokemon game, and you're like, what?
I mean,
did you get up to go to the bathroom one night and like you heard behind their closed door, like, really, she's with him? Like, what? Like,
they just
need to step in. Do we need to do something?
They just tell me now. They look at me when I walk in, and they're like, we've told you we don't like you. Why are you still here?
Because you've got an outlet, and I need it to plug in my Switch.
Guys, I brought Star Wars Pod Racer this time. You want to play? No, we never wanted to play.
But you're not just doing like it after dinner. Everyone's having a conversation, and then out comes the Switch.
Yeah.
I have to sit in the dad's chair because it's got the outlet by it. So excuse me, sir.
Yeah, excuse me. Can you move, please? And he's like,
Head
yeah,
of the
can you
table,
move out of my
please.
house? Yeah.
I'm at like 20% right now.
Yeah.
Can you carve that turkey somewhere else, please?
Yeah.
I'm trying to play a game.
Oh, you guys are lighting fireworks off? That's okay. I need my Cub Fu at level 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your girlfriend into Pokemon?
She's not, but there are some Switch games we've played together. Heave Ho, she really likes. Moving Out has been a lot of fun. I think she'll like What the Golf because they have a 2-player mode in that I'm gonna. But yeah, mainly I think Heave Ho and Moving Out have been the ones that like my friends and I and her sister have been playing a lot, which is fun. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, any other games anybody wants to talk about?
The playlist.
It's supposed to take 3 hours. I think we're moving too fast.
Yeah. What the hell?
I can go 3 hours by myself if you want. Don't be careful what you wish for, Reese. Be careful what you wish for.
All right. Well, Dan, did you ever figure out what games you're into?
Yeah. Well, I was unclear as to the scope of this project. Now I understand that the playlist is also what we're playing right now.
No, don't reveal what the playlist is.
Okay, I won't.
That's the fun. No one knows.
But I'm playing all kinds of crap, including, guess what? Diablo 1.
Oh,
Diablo 1.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
Are you really playing that?
No, I made it up for the podcast. No, yeah,
okay.
Of course. Yes, I'm really playing it.
Good joke.
What class are you playing as?
The Monk, which is a unique to the Hellfire expansion class. So get this: the Hellfire expansion was not a Blizzard-created product. This isn't the PC era where this stuff would never fly now. But they made an expansion for the game that Blizzard didn't make the expansion. So some other company made it, and they put it out for the game. Like this would be unheard of in today's day and age. But it's a thing. It's a thing. So like you tack it on, and it adds some new zones and a new class to the original Diablo 1 experience. Diablo 1 very simple compared to games that came after, but still it's really interesting to go back and just see maybe I just click on the monster till it dies and maybe they'll drop something good.
Mm-hmm.
The original concept of it's just like distilled down to its very essence of there's barely any abilities depending on your class even. It's just like you click on the thing until it's dead and you hit your potions when you're supposed to.
It's so interactive though.
I mean, it's still, it maintains interactivity in ways that would sound terrible today, like, oh, there's a bunch of guys that shoot in this room, so you need to hide behind a wall to pull them all near you and not just charge in because you'll die. But it's obviously we've come a long way in the ARPG genre since then in terms of player interaction and input. But it's sort of a fascinating history lesson, and it's 25-ish years old. So I can't believe it for that old, it does hold up fairly well.
It's older than Alex. Incredible.
Yeah, it is older than Alex.
No.
Yeah. I'm just I'm making this point up as I go along. So let's see if it stands up to any kind of scrutiny. Diablo series, I would say one of where every entry is a huge leap forward. There's only 3 of them, right? If you're looking at numbered entries.
Just count Diablo games, then just 1, 2, and 3.
That's cuckoo bonkers just to think comparing Diablo 1 to Diablo 3. Can you think of another series that is within 2 entries has changed that much?
Well, to be fair, you got 10 years between entry drops.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's been obviously big jumps in games.
Yeah.
Mario 64 was a big jump from what became before, but there have been a lot more entries in that series. So a series with few entries and each entry is a big jump is kind of what you're asking.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't think of
think about.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean,
right in if you think of one.
Yeah.
I'm sure the YouTube comments will come up with quite a few examples.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
which I might.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be good. Because Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 and then Mass Effect to Mass Effect 2 were huge jumps, but then I feel like it not consistently over that time period like you talked about with Diablo.
I have one.
Oh, what is it?
Witcher.
Oh, that's a good one for sure.
Yeah. Pretty good one.
Yeah.
I can't 1 and 3 don't even resemble the same.
Yeah.
Planetary radius from each other.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Now you don't have to comment. Don't comment. No one needs to comment now.
Probably still comment.
What drove you, Dan? What drove you to start playing the original Diablo? of all things.
Joel, you wanted to make this podcast long. We can definitely do this. So one of the things I've been doing lately is just sort of like taking a look back to my gaming RPG PC roots. And one of those titles is Diablo. Some other ones that I've been examining for some play in the future are like the Might and Magic series, the early entries into that. I've been craving ever since we did the CRPG issue. I've been craving to go back for some World of Zine, which, for those of you who don't know, is Might and Magic 4 and 5 together. So back in those days, when you bought the one game, then they're like, well, when we put out number 5, what if we let them combine the games and have portals to the games that go to each other, the light side and the dark side, and we create a bunch of bonus content on top, and then we'll just call it like the World of Zine and combine these two games together. You know, it sounds like a marketing gimmick, but man, what did it ever create this just enormous, for what would pass as an open world dungeon crawling experience back in those days. So that was one of the other ones that I was like, okay, I'm playing some Diablo 3 for the new season, but what about Diablo 1? What would it feel like to go play Diablo 1 today? So I'm finding that out. You know,
you gonna stick with it? You gonna finish it?
Yeah, I'm gonna finish it. And I'm gonna finish the expansion content too. It's not a long game in comparison to 2 or 3 at all. Like you could rip through that thing, assuming you get the right drops. That's the funny thing. Like compared to 3, you know, which I play every season ish for a little bit. Like the loot is so bad. Like it's just like, all right, we've got a breastplate here. I guess I'll use that. My God. Whereas in like Diablo 3, it's like, well, I only got like 5 legendaries that run. I don't have enough stuff here.
Well, and you would constantly get stuff that was not for your character.
Oh, it's all garbage. And the thing is, it's all garbage, and you've only got like 2 slots. Like looking at it like your paper doll, it's like you've got a head, a chest, weapon, and then your rings and ammies. That's it. There's no legs. There's nothing. There's no shoes. There's like a lot of slots are missing that are now basically staples of the genre.
Yeah.
Crazy.
On the subject of going back to old PC games, Tack, did you ever play Crusader No Remorse? Back in the day, it was like an EA published isometric, kind of like you played as like a Crusader, which was like a futuristic law enforcement, heavily inspired by like RoboCop meets Boba Fett meets Judge Dredd, but like he wore like a suit of like red armor, and it was kind of puzzly but actiony. So like you'd have to go into a room and like there's scientists you have to like clear out. You could shoot stuff and it would explode and set them on fire. And you had like a little spider droid that you could send out ahead of you. You might check it. It's like very primitive probably now, but I would have bet, what was it, like 94, awesome. 95 or so? Yeah, Crusader No Remorse, and they had a sequel, Crusader No Regret. And it seems like an IP that I would love, if anyone's familiar with it, I think it'd be really cool to revisit it because it is definitely of its time, but I think that at the same time, it was a really interesting game.
Yeah, while you're at it too, you should
play that.
Yeah, you should check out Hoop and Stick. It's another classic game. Yeah,
also a good one. But yeah, I've been doing some archaeology on that, but I'm also playing more relevant and new things as well. Moving along the playlist entry. I'm also playing Artifact 2.0. Remember that wonderful Valve card game? I got in the beta for the new thing, luckily, and I've been tinkering around with that a little bit.
I feel like you buried the lead a little bit. What's the deal with that one?
So they're trying to bring the game back. They released it. Some people really liked it. Whatever, whether you liked it or hated it on release, what cannot be argued is that the Valve did not support the game, and they basically said, "Okay, we're going quiet for a year," and now they're coming back with a new model, same game but a new model of it, very very different than the original incarnation. I don't know if I like the changes completely yet, but obviously this is still very much a work in progress. Like they don't even have like card art on the stuff. It's just literally like some very crude concept bar napkin art on some of the cards. It's actually kind of hilarious to look at it.
Drawn by Gabe Newell.
I'm sure Gabe drew some of them himself, like for sure. It could, the way they look, honestly, yeah, still very raw. Many changes are happening as the players take stuff.
Is it worth getting excited about? Should people like get excited about?
Ask me again in 6 months. Ask me again in 6 months. I think it's way too early to call at this point.
I won't. I'll forget completely.
Well, Alex anyway, hates card games, but this is about what I was playing, Alex. You already had your say.
All right.
Did you like Artifact 1? Were you a fan of it?
Yeah. On GameInformer.com, but I liked many things about it. Some things I didn't like. I knew that the monetization was absolutely screwed up from the start. This new monetization model that they're going to go with should alleviate that aspect anyway. But that was one of the biggest things. Like, you can't make a game where it's like, we're going to sell you singles in the market, and here's the idea, everybody. Everyone's going to sell their cards to each other, and Steam will shave off a slice of every purchase. Yeah, we'll take a penny every time they trade. That's a good idea. It's like, yeah, well, okay, we're going to love that. That's nothing more than I ever wanted than to sell my cards to another player and have you take a slice. That's lovely. Good stuff. So that part's out of it. So now you just apparently everything will be unlocked for free. They're adding a single player component for those who like, the puzzly stuff.
I actually do like that stuff. I kind of dig that more than playing against other people.
Yeah, so that's out there.
Cool.
Well, maybe I'll check that out.
Cool.
Thanks for the info, Dan, and good luck finishing up Diablo.
Yeah, it shouldn't be hard. Diablo, it's very simple. You just have to wait till you get the drops in the XP. It's like,
you got to fight the devil himself, dude. Good luck.
You do.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're gonna close out the GI playlist for 1 week. We'll be back next week, but stay tuned. We have some community email questions. You guys want to answer some of those?
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I am still your host. They're still letting me do this for some reason. Ben Reeves. Still got Jeff Cork, Dan Tack, and Alex Stadnick with me. You guys ready to answer some community email questions?
I cannot freaking wait.
Been looking forward to it all day.
So these are questions, game statements that people write in at podcast@gameinformer.com. You can write in anything you want. I have to read it, unfortunately, so please be nice.
Yeah.
But we pick the best of the best, talk about them on air. So if you want to ask us a question or make us play a game or whatever, send it in. Podcast@gameinformer.com. What kind of things do you guys want to get? What are you guys into? What kind of questions do you want?
Things that make the show better.
Yeah,
things that make the show better.
Yeah.
Classic line. Honestly, I just love whatever they send in, and as long as it's not like a completely trolly question. I think people have asked us tons of great stuff that really get us involved in talking about games, which is what I like to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the good games have been very fun. I've been enjoying that. So if you guys have something you want to send in, that's great. If you want to see us do something a little different, I'd be curious to see what that is too. So
like is that a dare?
Yeah, like you won't do it.
Dare? You're getting some dares going?
I triple dog dare you.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I don't know why this is probably a bad idea, but I always wanted people to write in with like, hey, tell us your dreams. Tell us game related dreams. But it's probably like, hey, this is actually
we've actually had that question before, to be honest with you.
That'd be
Have
fun.
we?
I think so.
I thought you
the other thing
go.
The other thing I'm thinking of is I'm playing with a segment where we rank characters. So that's just a little tease of maybe something to come. Yeah. If you have characters you want us to rank, maybe you start sending something in.
I like
do something with that.
Yeah,
it's a tease.
I like Ben fleshed it out a little bit more earlier, and I think this one could be a really fun community segment. So,
there's more to it than what he just said.
You have to find
what
out.
more do you need?
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
All right, podcast@gameinformer.com. We got some questions for you.
All right.
So the first one comes in from Keith from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That's how they say that, right? Toronto. Yep. Pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. Anyway, Keith says, thanks for the podcast. It really helps me get through the day, and your funny banter lightens my life. You guys are awesome. I've always been a big gamer, and I was never able to bring my best friends to join in the games I was playing. However, a weird thing happened when the quarantine hit. A couple of my friends say they would like to game together as a way to keep in touch. So he goes on to say that they tried Warzone and that put their friendship to a bit of a test. So they ended up going to Call of Duty's mobile battle royale. They link up their controllers on their phones and they play that. And they apparently really like it. They like it way more than Warzone. Anyway, he just wanted to write in and he says, have any of you guys reconnected with people during the quarantine by playing games? And also, have you played the Call of Duty mobile game or given it a fair shake?
Fair shake.
I have not played
it. I think it was fair. It's not for me. But interestingly enough, I really like the sort of the progression. I also play with a gaming group that gets at each other's throats when they play Warzone competitively. So I like to try to bring them to other things, what I consider more wholesome quarantine games that a little bit more casual in nature. There's one that's supposed to be coming out on Steam this month called Gunbound. Okay, you guys have never heard of this, but if you were PC gaming back in 2004 or 2000, this is a game that basically took Worms. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that one, or artillery-based games, and sort of redefined the concept of that. So you can play on like different little. It's a completely ridiculous game where you just shoot balls at each other, right? Like aiming trajectories, like height, velocity, like and it's just like it's a game that you can take seriously, but you're losing if you do. So generally, when we used to play really high intensity stuff, where people would get really upset with each other, like World of Warcraft classic raids or Dota, we'd be like, "All right, time out, everybody. We're going to play some Gunbound," and that would be like that was the cooldown.
Okay.
It sounds silly today, but when stress is extremely high across the board, I think in today's reality, existing. So when I get an opportunity to plug a game like this that really is about stress reduction and hanging out with your friends in the most casual and fun setting imaginable, I say go for it. So that's supposed to hit on Steam. It's called New Gunbound. The new version is hitting this month on Steam, apparently.
Where'd they come up with the title, you think?
Gunbound? I have no idea. I don't know.
I got the idea from New Super Mario Brothers.
Dan, you mentioned Worms. Have you ever played a game called Scorched Earth?
Yeah. But that has actually come up a few times while I've mentioned Gunbound.
Okay. Interesting.
One of the artillery-based titles.
You're familiar with that, Jeff Cork?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a game we played. It was before Worms. Like we played that in the computer lab at school.
Okay,
it was like one of those games you'd exchange on your floppy disk.
Like 2 tanks on either side, and you just type in.
You could have more than 2. I think you could have I don't know, 8 or something. But yeah, like most people I talked to was like never heard of it, but it was basically the Worms gameplay where you're shooting artillery at people. We had a lot of fun with the
game. Of that, and I thought of it because, again, of the tension they had. Like, I know some groups that get along 100% of the time, but you put one game in front of them, and like that's the one because Bob is always late to come through the door, or Jimmy doesn't listen to voice comms. Or, you've always got something that just doesn't sync up. So like, I always try to find those sort of more lighthearted experiences to weave in with the super hyper gaming, whatever you want to call it, right? The real deal gaming.
Yeah, to answer Keith's question, like I've tried to establish a gaming night once a week with a couple of friends, or even just once a month, and it always falls apart after the first night. Like you can get like one night where you play together, and then like that second week, it's like, oh, I'm actually busy this week, I can't do it, and then it's just downhill from there. So, if anybody has tips on keeping people committed, let me know because I want to know how to get my friends to keep playing with me. Is it just you have to have a nice personality? Do you have to be like a nice guy?
That helps. I also think it helps to get a bigger play group than you need, because if you assume you aren't going to be there, then you make it a 6-person group if it's a 4-player game. Kind of like that, and sort up if you don't already have it, a Discord is great to sort of organize that stuff. That way you'll just you can be like, hey, maybe I'll just see what's on the Discord. Is anybody there? Like instead of nobody calls each other anymore, and you're not going to text them to play, right? Just like people have zero. It's all about convenience, right? So if you look on Discord and there's like, hey, Dan's on, I'll go see if he wants to play something. Cool, he does. He's already playing something, as a matter of fact. I'll just join his game. And then that turns 2 turns into 3, turns into 4 that way. It's sort of a snowball effect rather than we need to have 6 players online at 8 p.m. That's never going to happen because, the kids are whining. You got somebody else went out to dinner. Somebody else is working late. Those factors never come together perfectly. So I try to create an environment where people can just kind of waltz on in whenever they have the time and sort of get in a game group.
You're a super connector.
Good
job, Dan. You figured it out.
Well done.
All right. Next email, Steve from Buffalo, New York. He writes in, hey, GI crew. My question is on next-gen games. Have we reached the point in life where games are finally going to hit the $69.99 level? 2K seems to think so. Did you guys see that news?
Oh, yeah.
2K announced that, was it NBA is going to be $69.99?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just for background, he says, do you think that with 2K leading the charge that other studios are going to follow? I, for one, am not opposed to the extra $10, and honestly, I'm surprised that it took this long. Do you think that this will hurt next-gen sales, or do you think that people like me will just accept this as a way to adjust for inflation? What do you guys think?
I have some big thoughts on this, but I talked a lot last question, so I'm gonna let somebody else go first.
I mean, you think back to the $60 price point was put in place, what, 2006, 2007, when Xbox 360, like PS3 era, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's adjusted for inflation. That same dollar amount is 75, almost $80 now.
Is it really?
I think it's close. Someone can check me on that. But so it's like $60 isn't what it was back then. So as much as it's also tough too, though, because like with the pandemic, a lot of people are going through tough times. So it's like, it's hard to say like, yeah, put it to 70 if, you know, if people are having a tough time with their jobs. But I would love to see, if everyone embraces the $70 price point, I would love to see it maybe like less microtransactions. Maybe publishers can get that money more upfront when they add that kind of money in. I know that Pandora's box is open on that. We'll always have microtransactions, but maybe people can lessen that a little bit if they're making more money upfront. So I think it definitely could be a good thing for the gaming industry on the whole.
I'm sorry, the raising price is going to be good for people. I just want to make sure that's clear.
I think if, unless it turns bad, if we still have like the loot box, you know, bonanzas that some of these games are, like, you know, it could change it. But I feel like with gaming, with budgets going up so much to create games, I think if publishers can and developers can get that money more upfront, then like it could have a positive ramification. Do you not think so?
The 2K is leading the charge with NBA, which is like notorious for nickel and diming players with microtransactions. So like, I mean, we could say like, well, games, the argument, you know, like, oh, in the Super Nintendo era, there were some games that cost $75 and stuff. But it's like, that was how much the game cost. Now, there are very few games where the game is what it is. You always have the opportunity to spend more on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's always not even an expansion. You know what I mean? It's always a dynamic theme,
or
if you're a fan, or like they nickel and dime you or give you the opportunity to spend as much as you want. So like, I don't know how that works. I think the price goes up. So like the entrance fee, you pay more, and then in addition, that's not going to slow the roll of microtransactions and everything like that at all. I don't think.
So you think
like you just end up paying more for games?
Yeah,
that's all it comes. You're not going to get more content. You're not going to get anything. They'll just have the opportunity to sell you more stuff after you already pay $10 more to get in the door.
So my response is a little too pie in the sky, you think?
I just feel like I don't want to spend any more money because I do support games that I like through like, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but like I understand that like I support games that I really like and spend a lot of time on with like microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
But so they're getting my blood. Don't squeeze me anymore.
Yeah,
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I echo some of those sentiments because I know gaming feels like an expensive hobby sometimes. I know for me, we're fortunate because we have some access to things that other people don't. But as a poor college student, like every dollar counted. And so when that $10 hike went up for the 360 generation, I was like, oh man, this kind of sucks because I feel like I can buy fewer games.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, like, I don't know, looking at it the other way is like, yeah, adjusting for inflation, like we need to give back to the developers or they need to get their fair cut to some degree. So it makes sense that it would go up at this point. Like it kind of sucks whenever you have to pay more money because, hey, I'm a greedy person. But yeah, I think if it's ultimately good for game developers, it's ultimately good for the industry, which is ultimately good for us.
Yeah. All right, Tack, tear it down. Let's go.
I'm not tearing anything down. In fact, I think this is the beginning of a shift that's been coming for a while. Actually, if we start upping the price of the standard AAA release to 70 and then to 80, we're going to see a organic shift toward what I call the Netflix of games. All right, stuff like Game Pass, all these other service-based models that are going to remove ownership of games completely because it's way better to pay $15 a month for a bunch of games than to buy a $90 game, or couldn't you even imagine, a $100 game? Because the game doesn't stop at 70. You got to get 2 DLC packs.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to get 100. God forbid you got a real expansion. And that's without any microtransactions that you're definitely going to want to get into because you're going to want to get a couple of skins for your favorite characters. Or, maybe an XP boost, kick things up a notch so you don't have to play the game as much. you know, I'm being fairly cynical here about the price, but at the same time, so in a way, this is bad because it is not going to stop microtransactions. It's just upping the price. In a way, it's transitional. Now, whether or not you want this transition to the digital game space, the eventuality, I think, is it's been fought for so long, and fight the good fight. But eventually, people are going to figure out how to do what they did with music and videos and make it work for games. And what Game Pass is kind of like that it's bubbling to the surface, right? I can pay a very small price to get access to a bunch of games. I don't own them, but I get $1,000 of games for $10.
Sure.
This is not a complicated thing for me to do in my head rather than purchase the latest title for $80 up front.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is even the most staunch advocates, they're going to be like, all right, at some point the value isn't there, right? The value
to some degree, Dan, though, I don't think you're wrong, but like that's happening regardless of the price hike, I think, right?
Anyway, this is going to start. This definitely is another. It's a very subtle push. As another factor that is going to result from this is people are going to do more free to play stuff. It's going to indirectly make games like Fortnite even more popular because they are free, right? Free.
Right.
But these $80 releases that come with unlimited cash spend options, hardly uncommon. We may as well have those already, right? But these may not seem like big shifts. $10 might not seem like a big deal, but every time you move you move the gradient just a little bit, you're tilting things toward free to play. You're tilting things toward game as service. You're tilting things toward digital only future.
I wonder if there's data out there too.
Very delicate. $10 might not seem like a lot, but it really once it starts moving in a single direction, it starts to move faster and faster toward inevitability.
Well, the free to play space, there's so many like free games out there right now. Just go to the Epic Game Store, Steam, or PS Plus. Like, there's so many ways to get free games too. I feel like that has to cut into the big AAA new release space a little bit, right? There's probably fewer people buying big games, even if they were $50, because there's so many free options out there. So in some ways, do you think there's a response to like how much free stuff there is? Like, well, we gotta hike up the price because we're selling a little bit fewer copies. I don't know if there's data out there, but I'd be interested in that.
That argument's sort of interesting but only for games that don't have additional S-Corp. The word I thought was quite hilarious. The word opportunity. You have an opportunity to make more purchases once you're already invested. It's like, come on. It's like, yeah. If I was gonna spend $70-$80 on a game and that was it, and I got everything, and there were content updates even. Wow, I'd be like, whoa, I get it. The current model, the current budgeting, all that stuff doesn't factor in for that. It has to be the way it is, right? So, okay, but like, don't be surprised when I see a new title that I might buy for $80. I'm just like, you know what? Forget about it. I'm just gonna go play Dota 2. I'm just gonna go play Fortnite. I'm just gonna play something I already have that's gonna be constantly drip fed updates. Rather than try that new experience because I don't want to gamble with $100 chip eventually here, right? I go buy $100 of swag and look like awesome in Fortnite for a couple months. I'm just saying.
Wild, yeah.
Theoretical. We're dealing in theoretical space here.
Yeah,
right? We're getting to it like we do.
Yeah,
that's what the podcast is all about. Like talking. It's a fascinating topic to me, and
especially like with like an NBA game that has as an annualized release. That's like buying $100 worth of sour cream. Like, it's got a sell by date on that where that 2 years from now your buddies are not going to want to play NBA 2K 21. They will have moved on to the next version because
right.
It's just how it happens.
Player updates, yeah,
right.
And you're right. Eventually the players may as they up that price point. Eventually, maybe it's just like maybe you buy the NBA Game Pass
platform,
right?
Yeah.
Hulu subscription. You never know. I don't know where this is going.
Yeah.
But it just stays the same. Not with these kind of like the price hike, especially right now. This is a really inconvenient time.
Yeah.
For that to happen.
So that's an interesting question that forgive me, I don't know the person who brought it up. I saw that and I was like, okay, every publisher's going 70. Do you think there's going to be do you think Microsoft's going to be like Halo Infinite $60? Like, that's it. Do you think some people are going to resist this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Boosted, I'm telling you, because they got Game Pass already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Higher they jack the price of that game, the more attractive Game Pass looks, and that's what they want. And at the end of the day, they can take a hit on games, they can take a hit on hardware. They want people in their Netflix of video games. By the way, I sub on PC. It's a super good value. It's a stupid good value.
It's ridiculous. It's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, even if I barely play, like if I play one game a month on there, it's still I'm still doing better than buying any of the games. It's that's it. They're pushing that value. The value add on that service is higher than the price of one game. Now, Halo, very interesting example. I think they get away with that. They could probably charge $100 for Halo and people still get it. Right now. Right? Right now. Assuming it's good, we've got to see.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. A lot of caveats there.
Yeah.
But,
but do you
that's
think,
a right now question.
Yeah. But you do. But then you do think like other publishers, like maybe CD Projekt or like someone bigger would keep it 60? Because like I feel like
we already don't have like a hard price on stuff. Like a lot of games are like, well, it's not a $60 title, it's a $30 title. Those do exist already. That nuance is already there if you want it. Maybe you'll see the double A's stay at 60 for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Or the 2.5 A's or whatever the hell,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Video games.
Video games. Yeah.
There are definite changes happening. I think this is indicative of them, and I think Microsoft is very happy if this pushes people away from the single copy games with their strategy anyway.
Definitely.
Well, I guess we'll see. I'm interested to see if more companies follow suit or if there's like a holdout too. Like who's going to be the one? I could see Nintendo holding out maybe and not releasing games at a higher price point.
Yeah. Right.
Especially while they sell the Switch.
Because that's gonna sound so good marketing wise for one of these like Bethesda or CD Projekt, where it's like, we hear you guys, $60. That's the price of our game, and because someone's like CD's already done that, where it's like, we're no microtransactions, we're giving you 2 content packs, and that's it. And that sounds really, really good. And I think that it's hard because we are in such a bubble where we have to be locked in at all times. So like, but I feel like that's a good rallying cry for like our audience and stuff like that. I guess I don't know about the casual consumer, but
there wasn't like another half of his question that I cut out just because it was kind of long, but he was like, oh, well, what does this mean for the transition from current gen to next gen? If like current gen games are still priced at $59, but you get the free upgrade, like would that just drive sales to current gen? I don't know. That would be interesting to, I don't know if anybody's like figured that out yet because not too many people have announced how that rollout's going to happen, but that is an interesting thing that people have to figure out.
They're playing chicken so hard with pricing right now.
They really are.
It is ridiculous.
I think we're pricing on November 1st for both systems.
And it's out now for $800. Okay, bye.
I'd like that price upgrade from my PS4 to my PS5. Can I do that for consoles?
That'd be nice.
Yeah, let's do it.
Great.
Sounds good.
All right. Console prices. There you go. Jacob from Phoenix, he writes in. He says, I'm on the verge of completing Final Fantasy IX for the first time. I originally played this game upon its release in 2000. That's 2000. Isn't that crazy? That was that long ago. Anyway, he says he never finished it the first time. He tried the mobile version about 5 years ago, but he couldn't get through it on that platform either. So this is the first time he's playing it on Switch now, and this is the first time that he's going to beat it. Assuming he finishes it this year, it'll have been 20 years from when he originally started it. So his question is, what's the longest you've ever gone from starting a game until you've actually finished it?
Mine's nowhere near as impressive as 20 years, but
I was just looking this up because I remember I just finished Resident Evil 6 like a month ago because quarantine, and it's like I've just been playing more games and started to run out of games to play, and so I've been digging through just like, hey, what's an old game that I never finished? And Resident Evil 6, it turns out I never did, so I went back and finished that this year, and that's like 8 years, which is a pretty good long time. I didn't realize that game was that old, but
yeah.
Save that you had already had, or you just went back to it fresh. Okay,
so I went back to it fresh.
Okay,
and I had played more of it than I had realized too. It was one of those like, oh wait, I still remember this level.
I gotcha.
I did that with Aladdin, where I was like, oh, for the Genesis, I went back to it like 15 years after I originally first played it. I was like, I don't think I ever beat this game. And then I was like, oh, no, I remember this level. And then I played the next one. I was like, no, I remember this. And I got all the way to the end. I was like, no, wait, I remember this level. Like, I think I had beat it. I just forgot I had beaten it.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I would look at it more of like, I revisiting it, I would have to have a previous save, because then otherwise I just consider it like playing a game that I never played or whatever. But I went back to Alien Isolation last winter and finally beat it. I hadn't beaten it. And then it was one of those situations kind of like where you realize, oh, I was only 45 minutes away from the end. And for whatever reason, I got pulled away to do something else, and so that was that. But I don't think I've got anything like 20 years like that.
20 years, that'd be hard to dive into the save again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. It had to have been some like, it was probably like Phantasy Star 3 or something very, very odd that I decided to just come pick up and play, like when those packs came to Steam, that I played a bunch when I was a kid, but probably I didn't own the system, so it was always like somewhere else. So theoretically, Phantasy Star 2, 3, 4 would probably all fall into this booklet. Had to have been a very long time. I don't know how many years it was. It was a long time. Or even any of those old Genesis games, really. Like I never really beat them back in the day because I didn't own the Genesis. I was always the friend at a friend's house playing the Genesis. I had the you know how it goes.
Yeah. Is Danny still here? Is he in your room? There, your friends are all eating dinner with their parents, and you're in the room. I'm gonna pause this. You can't turn the Genesis off for the next week.
Yeah. So it would have been one of those titles, like probably Shining in the Darkness, probably definitely one of them. I never finished that as a kid, and I look at it as an older man, and it's like way simpler than that game ever appeared on the service as a child. Where it's like, wait, I gotta map this place out, and there's like bosses around every corner. Now it's just like, wow, this game is just like a series of straight lines with random encounters. All right, okay, I think I can handle this.
No.
Yeah, so it would have been one of those old Genesis games.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is a little different spin on it, but like I don't have a ton. When I fall off a game, I pretty much fall off a game. But Witcher 3, I was playing it in college, and it took me like a full year to beat it. I just, with class and work and internships and stuff like that, I like just, I would go 3 months without playing it, binge it for 10-15 hours, and then put it down. So, but no, I don't really have anything like 20-year gaps, like Marvel's Inhumans or something like, I don't know, Unhuman or whatever that game was. Anyways,
it would be fun to have that. Yeah, this is morbid, but like, some game that you'd put off for super, super long, and then like it's the last game you ever play. That's the one you come back to, just to like have that weird bookend of like, man, how long has it been since I played this? And then you keel over and die. But
as you sit on death row.
I don't know. I just thought about that. I was thinking about that with this is not quite the same thing, but Shenmue 3 last year when that came out, I was like, man, trying to think of what my life was like when I was playing 2 and how different it is now that I'm playing 3. And just like that huge gap between the series was, I don't know, weirding me out, making me think all morbid thoughts.
Yeah, cool.
And then I almost died.
Wow. Do you need to talk? Is this the GI therapy corner now?
Seems like it.
Yeah. The new segment. All right,
guys?
We got the GI playlist. We got the GI therapy corner.
Yeah.
Cool.
Everything's fine.
Cool. Don't worry about it, guys.
All right.
I'm good now.
Good. Good talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a new email. This just came in from an attack corgi. They write in, they say, you're sitting in your office, compulsively checking Twitter between writing an article that you've been putting off.
Yeah.
Then suddenly a wormhole opens up and the in your office, and it sucks you in. You exit at the year of your choosing, and you can alter video game history forever. What year do you stop at, and what do you change? So some of the details are a little messy on how you're changing things, but feels like you have carte blanche, like you can kind of do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
What would you guys do? And would you be a good little genie or bad?
No, I don't even know where to go with this. I mean,
yeah.
I'll just be the I'll go eliminate Nintendo.
Eliminate them.
What?
Like when they were a baby?
Hang on. Like, I haven't said why yet.
I don't know if I want to hear it.
I would have liked to have seen what, if anything, would have happened with video games had they not have been there to save video games.
That would be interesting to see. Yeah,
so I'm going from this from like a fractured history kind of standpoint. Like I want to know what would have happened instead.
Yeah.
Right. What would the world look like if they would not have come to save video games after the crash?
Dan, you're presumably then stuck in that universe. Are you cool being stuck in a universe without like Zelda, Mario, Pokemon, all that stuff?
Well, maybe not even video games.
But we don't even know. We don't even. Again, I'm going for the option that has like the what if scenario.
Yeah.
This isn't anything as anything as trite as like saying I remove Sonic the Hedgehog. We don't like him. You know, this is more of a macro scale sort of science experiment.
Yeah, I think on a similar note, I think I'd go back in time right after the failure of the Sega Saturn and convince, because I have amazing skills of persuasion in this wormhole world, Sega to parlay their development expertise and become just a development studio a generation before they did. So as much as I love the Dreamcast, and I absolutely love the Dreamcast, there's some amazing games on that, if they would have just went into just game development at that point in their history and put stuff out on PlayStation and even Nintendo 64 and everything. Again, as much as I love the Dreamcast, it hurts to say that, but it'd be interesting to see where they'd be now. If that
then
happened.
Panzer Dragoon would be this giant franchise that everybody
exactly.
Loves. Yeah. That would be interesting, honestly. I think that if they had done that, I guess that was a Saturn game, but they still could have put that out on the on PlayStation 2 or whatever. Yeah. But it's interesting that you would go back there. So you think that if they had started a generation earlier, Sega would be a better game development studio?
I think so. Don't ask me to provide any evidence.
Yeah, come on. We're talking about a time travel hypothetical here. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I like Dan's idea too, and I was thinking about that. I was like, okay, if Nintendo never came in, do you think that would have killed the console market for a while? Do you think maybe it would have been dead for a couple, like 10 years or something?
It could have. Yeah. Would consoles have even come back, or would something else have occurred?
Well, I think the video game market would have persisted, but in the PC space for sure. And so I kind of wonder if that had been the robust space, and then someone 10 years later, maybe even would have been Microsoft. Maybe Microsoft would have come in with some kind of like Xbox thing, and that would have been the first console that like then became a big console thing again. I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
That is wild.
And again,
exactly,
I can prove it, but I don't want to.
I could have just said, "I'm going to go take out Sonic." Haha, that goofy little blue guy's gone. You know, but I decided, for some more macro leveling. I'm sure, people are going to be like, "Oh my god, he wanted to get rid of Nintendo," but please. There was a follow-up to the sentence. It's not just like it is not a Super Nintendo statement.
No, that would be an interesting wormhole to peer into and be like, that's how that went out, and then head back to where we are now.
Yeah,
sure.
No,
I'd go back in time and I'd be the creator of Mario and Zelda. That's what I would do.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. That's good answer.
Yeah. I would go back. We'll call it 2013, but I would go back to when Microsoft and Don Matrick were developing the Xbox One. And I'd be like, guys, love the creativity. It's great. Keep it up. No one wants their Xbox to be a TV station. And you guys got to the top of the console mountain in the 360 because you focused on games. And for the love of God, please still focus on games, because I think this console generation shakes out a lot differently because that opening that they had with the it's your Netflix box, it's your TV box, I think that put them back in a way that they never recovered from. And I think
Sony still does kind of all its same moves, but you think Microsoft is just more competitive from the get-go. Do you think they are then on top for the generation?
It's difficult to say, but I would lean more yes, because then if they can prove, because I think Sony started to snowball in that they started to get the marketing deals where the casual consumer is like, okay, well now I play Call of Duty on PlayStation now because that's where I'm seeing all the ads for. That's where my hardcore gaming friends are because they were roped in at the start. I think it's that snowball effect where it's like, okay, these third parties are like, okay, well, we have to go with PlayStation. Whereas like, I mean, Mass Effect was console exclusive on Xbox. You know, you didn't see Call of Duty was always, and during E3 was always on the Microsoft stage, like they were during the 360 era. So I think third parties would have seen that continued success, and I think they would have continued to push. You know, I don't know what, because Phil and Xbox has said that, you know, Xbox One has sold well, and that's great. So I don't know exactly how that shakes out for their first party drought that we're experiencing. But would they have more opportunity to get more first party studios in 2013 compared to 2019? You know, that's something I would like to see if they got the ball rolling more so then, and emphasize.
Did you just call him Phil too? Like you're on a first name basis?
Yeah, Phil.
It clearly is. Yeah. I mean, he's choosing to go back like 2 years for his history alteration. Okay.
I'm a young man.
Yeah, how old would you have been in 2013 when you went back in time to like kill these guys?
19.
Who is this
but
punk kid?
Yeah, like pimples, like still can't talk to girls that well.
Spike hair.
It's Back to the Future 2 all over again.
I can tell this guy can't talk to girls.
Why would we
video game advice from him?
Absolutely not.
No, Connect doesn't stink.
What are you talking about? Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Like all of the emphasis on Connect. Like, yeah, it's just.
Yep. And put that Skittles the tiger gif right here. You know?
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, man. So, but
today when I watch TV down in my basement, it goes through my Xbox One.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm the future you hate.
No.
All your media in one place. Yeah. All your experiences today. The power of the X.
Absolutely.
I mean, even like small comments, like if they just didn't say you had to be always online, like I wonder how that would change things. Like it's just because that got so, or when they were like, you don't want to be always online, buy a 360. Yikes, not great. So I'm just curious how those little things would have changed things.
You know what? I'm going to change mine. I got a better one. I think I'd go back in time, like, I don't know, 10 years or so, go back to LucasArts, back when Lucas was running the show, and it'd be like, make an effing Indiana Jones game. Like, everybody wants it. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Like, I would maybe take Uncharted 2 with me. Like, here you go. See?
This is a monkey.
It can be done, dude.
Yeah.
No, but I'd be like, this is what you need to do. And then Indiana Jones would be like the biggest thing ever, because here's controversial opinion, but the better LucasArts IP.
Oh, games or just in general?
In general, like it's more interesting.
Okay,
but love Star Wars.
Yeah. Even after Crystal Skull.
I mean, hey, nobody here even batted an eyebrow. I think
Crystal what?
We're all big fans here.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Still,
what is this?
It would just like you said, like better. I see. Got it.
There you go. Now you're there. I like this guy.
Perfect 3 movies. All right.
Great trilogy.
A final email of the night. This guy writes in. His name's Ben Guthrie. I like this guy. I can tell he's a pretty good guy already. From Jacksonville, Florida. Well, not everybody's perfect. Ben writes in. He says he has a game for us. You guys ready to play a game?
I like games.
He says, I thought of a game that might be fun to try on the show. He says, I'm sure you've heard of it before, but I don't know if you've tried it on your show. It's a game that will tell you to press the button. You guys familiar with press the button?
Yeah, you push a button.
I'm actually not familiar with it, so I'm not like up on.
What do you do? You hit a button?
But he's going to present us with 2 scenarios, and if you want it, you press the button. Okay. Both things happen. But you have to take the good with the bad. Okay. So you have to like, get both things. Or if you press the button, then neither of them happen.
So it's an all or nothing. This could be the name of this game.
Yeah, except it's called
Deal or No Deal.
Deal or No Deal. All right, good. Got it.
Make sense?
Yeah.
1 versus 100. I'm here for it.
So we'll go around. First, push the button. He says, if you push the button, you will get the upcoming Elder Scrolls 6 game tomorrow. Bug free and ready to ship. But this already sounds like a really good deal, guys. But it will delay Diablo 4 until 2026. So do you push the button?
Who's making this call?
I don't.
Well, collectively. We have to decide for Bethesda.
What if Diablo 3 or Diablo 4 is still coming in 2026? Do we not know the actual release date if we're not pressing the button?
Yeah, you won't know the release date. I would suspect it's not 6 years out. I don't know for sure.
Let's assume for the purposes of this decision that it's 2022.
Then no, I don't press the button. I like Diablo better than Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
See, I think I would press the button. Yeah. I think just I can wait on Diablo 4 game as much as I love it.
I mean,
but
I think you just want to play a bug-free Bethesda game.
To make Elder Scrolls bug-free alone, I want to push the button.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about you guys?
I would not hit the button. There's not a chance. No.
Yeah. You just want Diablo sooner? Is that the main thing?
Yeah, even if Diablo would be like 2023, it's still, I don't know, 3 years tacked onto that. My God.
And is it just you that's getting a copy of the next Elder Scrolls game?
He says bug-free and ready to ship. So I assume it's shipping.
Okay, so people would mod it and everything. It wouldn't just be like, I've got the only copy and here I am just all by myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, I got this really cool. I can't tell you how, but I got a copy. He's like, okay, buddy. You got Elder Scrolls 6.
It's kind of a tough one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's a good
next one.
Okay. I like this game. Yeah.
Push the button. Mm-hmm. If you push the button, you will get Bloodborne 2, Dan.
Yeah.
But World of Warcraft will cease to exist.
Now, see, this could be a double good. They might. It doesn't say anything about like Blizzard making World of Warcraft 2 or another MMORPG.
Oh yeah, they could be doing World of Warcraft 3
like,
then.
Do another one.
Like, I don't. This seems like a great thing. Like, let's start the let them make a new MMO on the ashes of the. Hey, the button has been hit.
You're gonna hit it?
Yeah, give me I get to take Bloodborne 2 now, and I get to play whatever amazing MMO they come up with after WoW. That seems like a win-win to me.
Yeah,
the wording on this one throws me off because it says will cease to exist. So I'm like, does that mean WoW never existed?
It just forget about erase the memories.
Yeah, they have to be more clear with that then.
Yeah,
because removing World of Warcraft from the world is not the same as destroying the World of Warcraft universe, or from eternity and from our minds.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this button has that kind of power. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, bug-free Elder Scrolls. What's more least likely?
That's yeah.
It is truly heavenly inspired. That is divine.
Yeah.
But the other weird thing about this one too is like, I feel like Bloodborne 2 might happen without needing to push the button. Honestly,
it might. But like I said, I didn't see the second as a negative necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to, because as long as they have the one flagship MMO, they're not going to make another one. And since they're so good at it, I'd love to see another MMO. Like, they worked on it for a billion years. I'd love to see another idea from that studio coalesce into a new MMORPG. WoW is amazing, and I've been playing it for like half my life. But I could see something new. And as long as WoW's there, it probably isn't going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to fight amongst themselves with this other MMO,
Yeah.
Good point. Either of you guys have opinions, or you kind of like?
I pushed the button. Yeah,
you would?
I'm with Dan. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 2 series I've dabbled in. I'd be down to see what they would do with the new space. Like Dan said, push away.
All right, final push the button. Here we go. If you push the button, what's that?
So to turn the negative into a positive on that one, he left that open.
That's true. If you push the button, Blizzard will release the amazing game. I don't know if that's a typo. I guess it's just they're going to release an amazing game.
Okay.
All right.
But BioWare will release a terrible one.
The button's already been pushed.
I feel like that just might happen.
For this to happen.
Did somebody accidentally lean against this button? Did you lean against the button accidentally?
Someone spilled pop on it. It's been depressed.
Oh no, it's sticky.
Sure, I hit the button.
No, you hit it 20 times. No.
Stop it. Stop hitting the button.
Is there a way to unpress a button? Because I would unpress this one.
Yeah.
If I could.
Why not? I hit the button.
You're just going to hit it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's the one who poured pop on it. Stuck it down. Bang energy, actually.
Oh.
There you go.
No.
You're shaking your head, Reeves. You don't like this button?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just wondering if it was inverted, what would you guys think? BioWare will release an amazing game, but Blizzard will release a terrible one. Would you hit that button?
I'd push that button.
You would?
I'm more of a BioWare fan than an Activision or a Blizzard fan.
I would not.
Years notwithstanding.
I would not hit the inverted button.
No, it's just one game though. I think
I know.
Blizzard could take one terrible game.
They did. Or do I need to go?
I was gonna say, are you gonna name it, or are we just gonna?
Do we need to walk back to Warcraft Reforged?
Come on, World of Warcraft is not that bad, Dan.
No, it's not. It's great.
I don't know why I hate it.
I don't.
You said you wanted to kill it anyway. So you think Warcraft Reforged is terrible? You're part of that controversy.
Part of that.
It's not that bad. Yeah, we don't need to rehash that.
Here, okay.
This is supposed to be a safe place for us. And you're turning into friendly fire zone.
Yeah, this is no longer press the button. This is like Reeves trying to start.
He's like Batman's the Joker.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Just tell me what you guys think. Come on.
I did. I was completely okay hitting that button when it wasn't, on the original question.
That's fair. All right, let's push the button, everybody. If you have other push the buttons, feel free to write in. If you want to
push our buttons.
Yeah, that's right. If you want to push Dantac buttons, it's pretty easy. You can write in podcast@gameinformer.com. Any questions, any whatever. We'll take them. We're pretty willing to take whatever. So feedback obviously can go there as well. Last part of the show to close out, we want to start doing something we call recommends. I don't know. I don't have a clever name for this one. GI recommends, where we point you guys to some cool stuff we've been doing on the website and magazine. Do you guys have anything you want to recommend for people to check out?
Yeah, I mean, my Monster Train review is still relevant, I think. I got Andy into playing that before he left. Monster Train is a great Slay the Spire kind of experience. And also, if you're into Slay the Spire, and if you haven't tried Slay the Spire, you need to do it now. A new game called Rogue Book I also wrote about on the site, which is the team has some card game chops already. They made a CCG, and now they're making a Slay the Spire-like. I mean, bold new genre. But the ones that come out of there that are awesome are really worth playing, like Monster Train. So.
Cool. That's awesome.
Recommend. Awesome. I reviewed Deadly Premonition 2: A Blessing in Disguise. You could read that review before the game comes out a little bit. The game has some real problems, and I was a big fan of the original Deadly Premonition. I think there's kind of like a chorus of voices online saying, "What do you expect? The original one sucks so hard." And it's like, I like the first one a lot. I look back at my old issues of the magazine, and in 2010, I put it above Mass Effect 2 and for my games of the year, the original Deadly Premonition. So
was that the bad game?
My bona fides are there. What's that?
Was that the bad game that BioWare released?
That was no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. When I first opened it, and Jacob Geller, former intern, pointed that out on Twitter too. When I opened the Twitter and saw the review, and I saw Blessing in Disguise, I was like, "Oh, he liked it." And then I looked, and it was like a 5. I was like, "Wait, I thought he liked it," and I didn't realize that was like the subhead of the game. So
that's yeah, exactly.
You got me.
A real bummer, but hey, the review's not a bummer. I don't know.
Yeah. I read the review.
Yeah,
it's a nice review.
There's good words in there.
Yeah. Alex, anything you want people to check out?
I mean, we're all sad that Leo's leaving. And if you want to delight in Mr. Vader one last time, we did a stream yesterday where we played Siege and just reflected on some of his best moments. Took out some noobs in Siege, and it was a good send off. So check that out. And then depending how I post these, I think we did a Paper Mario Origami NGT that you can check out today. I think I'm gonna post a podcast after this, so go check that out. It was a lot of fun. Cork Reeves and I tore up the town in the game. I was gonna say tore up the game, but no, it's a fun time. So
yeah, I was gonna mention that Paper Mario NGT as well, which we had fun. Yeah. So you want to get a look at the game, check it out there. I was also gonna highlight. We talked about our Cyberpunk issue a couple weeks back. I think Matt Miller and Kim Wallace have been doing a really bang up job just posting some extra stuff on the website, so you can get all that on GameInformer.com. If you're still interested in Cyberpunk, and you probably should be because it's a good looking game, go read about it on there. So yeah, that concludes our show. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week. Until then, game on.
Game on.
Bye.
Game on.
Bye.